Hey gang, Mark Sweeney here from Austin Dental Spa, owner of Austin Dental Spa. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is what we call Wisdom Wednesday, where every Wednesday around this time we do about 10 minutes of educational material, not always related to dentistry, but always about just your health in general. And then I end it with a health tip. If you're a regular, you know all this stuff already, and you're probably looking forward to me announcing what's the new topic. And this is the first episode in the month of February. Last week we ended January on Wednesday, and I can't believe February 1st was Thursday. But here we are, heading towards Valentine's Day at a crash pace. I can't believe the year has gotten this far already. Anyway, the theme for this month, and I think we used it 2 years ago for February, but it just sort of stuck this year. It's love rules. And so there's two ways you could interpret that. Love rules like these are rules to live by, or love rules the world. You can interpret it either way, and we're probably going to go either one of those directions during the month. Each week, the theme will be something to do with love rules. So today, we're talking about something that might help with your love life and your overall body health and speed up your body's metabolism. I know you've, like me, seen all the advertisements on social media. Well, let me back up. January 1st, every year I see these, saying nicely, idiots jumping in Barton Springs pool, which is, 40-something degrees, 50 maybe. It's cold, though. And then I look at the news and I see the people in Chicago running into Lake Michigan on New Year's Day where it's considerably colder. There's ice floating around in the water, and they call it the polar bear plunge. Why do they do that? Well, there's actually some scientific basis in it. What I'm seeing on social media that I referred to earlier is these people filling a bathtub out in their backyard, filling it up with ice, pouring water into the ice, and then jumping into it or dunking themselves into it and then posting it on their Instagram or Facebook page. I used to go, why? I still say, why do they do that? Well, I might have some answers for you here in the next 5 minutes or so on why do they do that. But first, let me get back to just general overall. If you like what you hear today and you want to look at some of the previous Wisdom Wednesdays, we've archived them all on our YouTube page, Austin Dental Spa, and on our Facebook page. So you can go back and look at previous issues. We've covered all kinds of things from how to get rid of the coronavirus or at least make yourself more resistant to it, to health tips like what we're going to go over today. So let me go on to this cold therapy. It's not a new thing. I was surprised to find the earliest medical reference book known to man, 3,500 BC. That's 3,500 years before Christ was born. That's a long time ago. It was called the Edwin Smith Papyrus. And this was new information to me today. It is the most ancient medical text, and it repeatedly mentions cold therapy. Cold water therapy, cold showers. They didn't really have showers as we know it today. Jumping in cold or frozen lakes as a way to become healthier. Nowadays, it's more like cryotherapy tanks that I've done my share of those, probably about 20 of them. Stopped doing them for a couple of years because I was doing it right after I would play tennis on Friday afternoons. And let me just give you a little hint. You don't want to get into one of those cryotherapy tanks with wet underwear because it gets down to about minus 160 and everything freezes. You have to put these oven mitts on your hands and these big thick socks on your feet. But everything else is exposed to the cold, and your head is right up about here so that you can see out, I guess, so you can scream at the guy, get me out of here. But you're watching the clock for that 3 minutes to go by. And then let me just say, it is damn cold. And you know, my teeth almost started chattering. We'll mention that in a minute, but because I'm a dentist, so I got to talk about the teeth part of it. But why do people do this? Well, it boosts fat burning. I didn't know this until we started researching this. There are two different kinds of fat. There's the regular kind of fat that grows around your middle, the spare tire, or the extra lump back on the back of your belt. That's the typical fat, but there's also a type of fat called brown fat that is actually healthy, and it helps control your body's thermal regulator, or your metabolism, so to speak. So brown fat, some people are just naturally born with more brown fat than others. So there's some DNA involved in there that gets handed down. You know those people just like I do that can eat anything. They're in their 40s and 50s and they still never gain weight. I got a dental assistant like that who can eat cupcakes for lunch, and she's still that big around at 37 years old. So there are some of those DNA anomalies out there, but they clearly have more brown fat ratio in their body than regular fat. So they get away with eating stuff. But for the rest of us who don't have a high brown fat, we have to be a little more careful than that. Back to the subject of cold therapy increases brown fat production in your body, and the brown fat helps metabolize the blood sugar. So if you eat a meal, goes through your stomach, gets digested, and anything that's converted to sugar gets pumped into your bloodstream, which activates your I'm forgetting the name of it, the gland that produces insulin. And the insulin goes into your body, neutralizes the blood sugar, and brings it back down to a normal level. Well, that blood sugar is going to get stored somewhere, and people who are insulin deprived, like diabetics or people that are borderline diabetic, they found that this cold therapy actually stimulates your body to take care of the fat or the blood sugar that's floating around in your body, because they aren't able to produce enough insulin to deal with that. Full diabetics have to do insulin injections or wear a little pump that continually is pumping insulin into their system because their body can't make it. And as soon as the camera turns off, I'll remember the name of that gland. Text me if you know it before I find it out. Otherwise, I'll give you the answer next week. Senior moment. Anyway, researchers have found a connection between having low brown fat levels in your body and a tendency towards obesity, because you're able to gain weight more quickly and easily. So if you're like me, where you can just look at a piece of chocolate cake and gain a couple of pounds, then you might be one of those people that has a low brown fat ratio, and you got to work on it some other way. Watch what you're eating or exercise more. We get into that regularly on Wisdom Wednesday. But there is a protein in fat called adiponectin. Adipo refers to anything, the word adipo refers to fat in the body for scientists. So adiponectin is a protein that's found in fats, and people who have more adiponectin tend to bring their blood sugar down and have a higher metabolism, so they burn calories faster. So guess what stimulates adiponectin? Cold therapy. So if you are dipping yourself into a ice bath, or you jump into a cold lake, or you follow up a hot shower with a cold shower, that couple of, less than a minute under that cold water stimulates adiponectin in your body, and it might help you lose a couple of pounds. It's certainly not going to hurt other than the screaming sound you make when that cold water hits you. But there was another study that found that exercising reduced the inflammatory response in your body, but so does sleeping in a cold room, and so does cryotherapy. And that's why so many people do it, because they get a sense of well-being. I guarantee you, I felt a sense of relief when I got out of that tank every week. I think I did 20 treatments every Friday for a while, like I said, and I had to take a break for a while, but and probably need to get back in there too. But that reduces the fat storage in your body, and like I talked about with insulin, it takes care of that. Did you know that colder temperatures at night can actually help you sleep better? The scientists claim that somewhere between 60 and 67 degrees, that's a little cold for me. And I set it at about 68 when we had all that cold weather before. So how can you do this on your own? Well, turn the central heat down in your house for an hour or so and let it get a little bit chilly. Going for a walk in cold weather, which we've had a bunch of in the last 3 weeks, in shorts and a t-shirt, not something you'd wear for a long period of time, but just out and around a 5-minute walk will do the same thing as dipping yourself in cold water. And of course, we talked about the cold showers. So you can also go to the cryotherapy places. There's one right up the road called cryotherapy something. There are multiple places in Austin. Restore Wellness out in Bee Cave area has cryotherapy tanks. All you gotta do is type in the word cryotherapy, and it will tell you a place. I bet there's a place within 10 minutes of you if you live in the urban Austin area. So, but I mentioned earlier, my health tip of the week is if you try the cold therapy and it does make your teeth chatter like it did mine one of the 20 times that I did it, I was so cold my teeth were chattering. If you've got a night guard that your dentist has made, take the night guard with you and put it in between your teeth. Otherwise, I'd say try to get your tongue in between your teeth and just something to buffer them so that they're not banging together, because it's not good for your teeth from a dental standpoint to let your teeth bang together like that involuntarily. So that's my Wisdom Wednesday for the day. I hope it's been informative. Some of this stuff was new to me when I first started researching this topic, so I hope you enjoyed it and get something out of it. Try some cryotherapy, leave us a comment, and tell us what you think about it. I'll see you next week for another version of Wisdom Wednesday.